What is up, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Stand Your Ground. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Stand Your Ground. I'm your host, as always, Alex Benson. We are joined by both members of the Mighty Whites podcast, Jab Upshaw and Casey.
Alex.
And Happy New Year.
Yay! Everything's back to normal. There's no COVID anymore. Woo!
New Year.
I heard COVID couldn't get you after the New Year.
Yeah, I definitely saw that. That's definitely a thing. I know because I read it on Facebook.
New Year, same shit show.
Wait, are you calling this show shit or that this is a general shit show?
Both.
Ah, fair.
Also, general shit show.
Welcome back, everybody. We've had a lovely Christmas break, and I hope everybody who's watching has also had a lovely festive break and New Year's as well. Safe as hopefully, though. Stayed safe and followed the guidelines.
In fact, probably better than the guidelines because the guidelines aren't great.
If you're in Florida, do better.
If you're Frank Lampard, do better.
That did not take long.
Is that a solid segue right there?
Well, before we do actually get into that, we might as well hit off with Stand Your Ground is brought to you by our friends over at Manscaped. If you use code SYG2020, you get 20% off and free delivery. I'm going to play a quick little promo video, and then we'll get straight into everything that we're going to talk about this week. Yeah, so as you can see, scrolling along the bottom, it's brought to you by Manscaped. So you go use code SYG2020 for 20% off. You thought we might have updated that to say 2021.
That sounds like a hell of a lot of effort, does that, mate? Unfortunately, shaving your balls won't be a hell of a lot of effort if you go to Manscaped.
No snags.
What we're saying is, you've got balls, we've got a deal for you.
Speaking of balls,
Casey also has a deal for you. It involves the boot of his car and some Merkins.
But we'll leave that there.
Our last show, we did no game roundup because we did a Team of the Year special. Then we missed all the Boxing Day stuff because, festive holidays, let's take a break. Back into the new year. So when I say game roundup, you guys probably think, fuck, we're going to be bored. Don't worry, we're not going to go over everything.
Yeah. No, what we're going to do is we're going to miss out the bits where we did well and go straight to us losing again.
Clearly, that never happened. It was never on Stand Your Ground. We'll start off on the 1st of January, New Year's Day, 2 games, Everton 0, West Ham 1. Thomas Souček with the goal in the 86th minute. Someone who I think is vastly becoming one of the most influential Premier League midfielders whilst being underrated.
Yeah, I was saying the same actually watching the game. I really like Souček. It's not just the set piece threat and the goal, which is massive with him, and he's got an eye for a goal. He just seems he has one of those engines where he just seems to be able to be up and down throughout a game and not lose any effectiveness as it goes on. I really like what I've seen of him so far.
I think I heard, is he their top goal scorer for the season now?
It's not going to be Haller.
I have no idea, but off the top of my head, I would guess that's probably true.
He won't be far off double figures.
I don't know if it's that many, but I know that he. I can think of him scoring a fair few, and I can't think of West Ham having anyone else score that many.
Let me clarify. When I say he won't be far off double figures, I mean anything over 5.
Yeah.
I mean, 8 is a bit loopy, so it could. He's Haller's on 7, Souček on 5.
But I think Haller might have 7. I think he might have scored some in League Cup.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that might be why. But in the league, it might well be Souček. But I don't know. I'm not going to pretend to.
Before we carry on, actually, if you are watching this live, make sure you get in the comments below, put in your opinions, or maybe even ask us some questions that you want to ask us. All comments come through to us. We'll flash them up on screen and we'll get to them as and when we can. But yeah, I think this really highlights the fact that Everton have fallen off a cliff in terms of form compared to what they were doing at the start of the season.
Yeah, I suppose the difference with this match and a lot of them is, like, although Everton had all at ball, you could argue a draw would have been a fair result. But if a team was going to nick it, I really wasn't shocked that it was West Ham when I was watching it. Like, just the way that the bounce of Everton, for all the ball they had, they didn't particularly look that threatening. Whereas earlier in the season, they really did look like a threat all the time. And I still think that they will get back on form. Like, I think they've got too much attacking talent not to.
Yeah. They really should have taken a leaf out of Man United's book, and Pickford should have kicked the ball out of play, but back into play. That would have helped.
It's very, very hard to mark that.
But speaking of Man United, Man U 2, Villa 1. To say that neither team looked comfortable in this game, I think is a bit of an understatement. I think Villa played really well. Although Grealish shouting "fuck off" at a linesman was probably my highlight.
Yeah, they have nothing on Burnley when it comes to swearing at officials. When we played them at Elland Road, I've always said that they should change the rule to abusive language rather than foul and abusive language, because no one actually wants to see a red card for someone going, fuck's sake.
Yeah.
But Burnley in that game, every single one of them, like, you can see him clearly shouting stuff like, "You're a fucking joke, ref," and things like that constantly. And I just thought, Jesus, they maybe should start at least booking him.
Yeah. It was difficult watching it as a Man United fan because...
No, stop that sentence there. It was difficult watching it. Dean Smith described it as being played like a testimonial.
Right,
he was right.
Let's get it right. We're talking about Man U Villa, not Man U Wolves. But yeah, Martial getting a goal where... I don't know what Tyrone Mings tried to do, whether it was the cross from Wan-Bissaka that just kind of threw him off balance, but he kind of headed it into Martial.
Yeah, it was just a complete misjudgment from Mings. That it should have been a fairly easy header away. And just made a mess of it.
Second half, Bertrand Traore gets that goal, and when they signed him from Lyon, I thought he was going to be another one of these. Played for Chelsea, went to Ligue 1, played decent-ish, but then came back to the Prem and still couldn't do it. But he seems to have done all right for the time that he's been back in English football now. I think he's scored 3 goals in 4 games now in Premier League.
Yeah, him and El Ghazi are both hit fantastic form at the moment for them, which, considering how, you look at how Ross Barkley was playing at the start of the season, and you'd think with him being out of the squad, he'd be a bit of a miss, but I think Douglas Luiz has stepped up for them. I think those two on the wings have started doing really well as well. And obviously Grealish just being annoyingly good.
Yeah, it's. I'm pleased to see El Ghazi doing well, because he was getting dogs abuse off the Villa fans earlier this season, like loads and loads of it. So he's done well to get back on form and kind of shut a few of them up.
Yeah. And then obviously the penalty, which took, I think it was only 3 minutes that it took after Traore scored for us to end up with a penalty and going 2-1 up.
Yeah.
Obviously,
are you going to brush past how it wasn't a penalty?
I was going to ask you both this question. Now, there's very little contact, and I would say it's a very, very soft penalty. I don't think it's a penalty. If you're going to give a penalty, I'd give a penalty for Tyrone Mings elbowing Pogba in the face in the first half over that foul. But I'm not complaining.
Yeah. No, it's one of them. Like, that is... And as much as I'd love to say that, it's because it's Man United, blah, 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 because Man United do get a lot of penalties, and a lot of them are penalties, and there's a fair few that aren't. This one, I'm not having that was a penalty. But it's not the worst penalty decision of the weekend.
No.
Foreshadowing.
Yes. That's called a tease.
I'm going to say we might as well get onto it, but I want to just settle in the fact that at this moment in time, Man U are joint top.
No, you're second.
You're not. You're second.
We are joint top. Fuck off. If it was the other way around,
doesn't that
joint top?
Doesn't that put us like fifth?
Yeah. Well, no.
Yeah, you're like 10th.
Because if you joint first, the next one is third. There was a Twitter joke going round that we were fourth because first and second were on the same. Third through sixth were on the same, so they were all joint second, and they just kept going like that. So we were 11th and joint fourth.
You are joint with Arsenal now, though.
Yeah, Arsenal, who we'll come on to, but they've improved.
Yeah, we might as well go on to the Spurs and Leeds match. Spurs 3, Leeds 0. The first goal, the penalty. Players half in the box, half outside the box. Contact is outside the box. Penalty given.
Yep, it was. It's just not. It was a foul. I've absolutely no. He tackled from the wrong side. It's a poor challenge. But it kicked the leg that was outside of the box. It's a free kick.
It was an odd thing because was it Peter Wolstenholme they had in the studio? It was
Peter Walton.
Walton, that was it. Who he said it looks like there's contact between the feet, but the decision has been given for the contact, the thigh-to-thigh contact, which came afterwards. Now, I wasn't aware of the point when you could choose which contact was the foul.
Yeah.
I just assumed it was the initial contact.
Yeah. The one of the two contacts that was a foul.
Just, very... It seemed an odd decision, and again, I feel one of those that if you watch like Match of the Day or something was kind of brushed past. I don't know.
I must admit, I didn't watch Match of the Day. I just I saw most at games live, and the one I didn't, I watched quick YouTube highlights of.
Yeah, you didn't watch the Palace game, did you?
No.
So I tell you what, if you were going to skip a game, it wasn't the worst shout.
Yeah. But to be fair with the rest of the game, like half-time, we were 2-0 down. The second goal is just a really good goal. We gave ball away a bit too easily, but it's a great cross from Kane. It's a really good, well-timed run from Son. Really good finish. Can't argue with that one. And, they get the third one as well. They deserved the win in the end. We were unlucky to be behind at half-time because in the first half, we were as good as them at the very least. But in the second half, they looked better than us. I think 3 goals was a harsh margin, but they were the better side and they did deserve to win.
Yeah, it was weird watching you, and Alioski has that shot that hits the side netting because normally you love to pull the ball back to the edge of the area, and if he had have done, that's probably 1-0. But the West Brom goal gave him a bit of starry eyes.
Yeah, I was just going to say he loves a shot anyway, does Alioski. So after scoring that one against West Brom, his eyes lit up a little bit.
Yeah, I think overall for Leeds, realistically, we never got going at full speed. Like I think our passing was quite poor throughout the game. There's, I think I said to Jack at one point, like the amount of you could make a supercut of the amount of times I've said that's a poor pass. There was just too many times the ball was played behind someone or too far ahead, and a couple of especially poor passes that really cost us, like Mellier's pass out for the first goal or that led to the penalty. But for the most part, I thought we were fine, but I never thought we never really got going to our maximum speed.
Although, if you went on the internet, you would think that that instead of getting beat 3-0 by Spurs, we had got beat 9-0 by Burnley, based on the reaction.
Yeah.
It's another thing, and it's one of the things that's sort of getting annoying at the moment as a Leeds fan is all these people talking about how our playing style is what seems to be costing us, and yet whenever people show highlights to prove this, none of what they show seem to be goals from these games. They did it for the Man United game, failing to mention that our central midfield three were just not in that game at all. They just didn't play well. That's what that was down to more than anything. It wasn't because of our super open, expansive style of play. It was down to a few mistakes and Spurs being a genuinely good team.
Yeah, with really class forward players.
Yeah, I'm going to say, it seems weird coming out of a game where you lost 3-0 and a lot of people were raving about how well Luke Ayling played.
Yeah, as I say, it's one of them. I don't think that we were great against Spurs by any means, but I don't think we were awful either. I think we played like a team that will stay up but not really threaten Europe. And I'd snap your hand off for that.
Palace.
No, we're better than Palace.
Even though they beat 4-1.
I mean, that's one piece of evidence you could look at, but I'm choosing to look at the bigger picture.
Yeah, another thing to come out of that game, Son scoring his 100th goal for Spurs as well.
And who set that goal up, by the way?
Yeah.
Harry Kane.
Yeah.
What is it now? Aren't they like 3 away from the record for...
No, they're tied with Shearer and Sutton now.
Yeah. Kane's on 10 goals and 10 assists this season already.
Yeah, and nearly all of them involve Son.
I think on Match of the Day, I think Lineker joked that their record was under threat, and Shearer just went, "No, they're going to annihilate this."
Yeah, what was the one I saw on Twitter? I think Harry Kane must hug Son more than his own kids.
Also, I think it also meant that Kane's now scored against all 30 Premier League teams that he's played against.
Good record.
But moving on, Palace versus Sheffield United. I think there's only really one thing that we could talk about in this.
I've got this covered in a sentence.
Go on then.
This game was crap, but Eze's goal is lovely.
There we go.
Nice.
Moving on.
That was a hell of a goal.
Glides past people. It was so graceful. The defending was terrible, but it was so gracefully done as well.
You know the way he passed it into the goal after beating players without ever seeming to be fully sprinting? Can you remember that goal Adel Taarabt scored outside of his foot for QPR? When he just dodged through and just outside at foot passing to the bottom corner. The nonchalance it was for parallels with it really reminded me of it.
Yeah, hopefully he doesn't have the same work ethic though. Because in 3 years' time he'll probably be in Benfica B.
Yeah.
Well, I was going to say, listening to him after the game as well, and given all the difficulties he's had in getting to this position, he just sounded like the nicest, most humble person. It's the first time in a while I've heard a Premier League footballer really struggle to accept any sort of praise about them.
Yeah. I wanted him to go to a different club. I didn't want him to go to Palace when
Leeds.
It came up. No, originally I wanted him to go to Southampton. Can you imagine where Southampton would be now if they had him?
Don't get me wrong, he's good enough that he could make a go of it anywhere, I think. But I'm not sure his pressing in terms of his actual tackling and stuff would fit Southampton as well.
Yeah.
He could learn to do it. He's got easily enough talent and he's got enough pace to do it, but I'm not sure it'd have suited him quite as well. And apparently he always wanted, Like when he was being linked with moves all over, he was always going to pick somewhere in London, apparently, from what was said at the time.
Yeah. But this does mean...
like Diego Costa.
Yeah.
This does mean Sheffield United, 2 draws, 15 losses out of 17 games.
I believe that it is now the longest start without a win.
They're going to challenge Derby for the least amount of points.
In fact, I don't know. I think they might have tied their own record from 1990 for the longest start without a win. Obviously, the longest run without a win in the Premier League is still Derby's ill-fated season. But honestly, I watched that game and I think, and again, Jack, I text you just saying the players they were missing.
Yeah,
and it's they desperately, and I don't know what you do now because they signed Ryan Brewster, who I assume was the plan was that he was going to be their out and out striker. So far, it seems interesting the way he's been used.
By the way, early betting tip: Ryan Brewster to be Championship top scorer next season.
Yeah, I don't know what Wilder does now. I don't know who'd want to join Sheffield United at this point, unless it's someone moving up from the Championship, and even then, you've got to be moving from. Like, there would be no sense in you leaving Brentford to join Sheffield United at this point with the way they're in at the moment.
No, really, you're looking at, if it's a Championship club, you're looking at a team that doesn't back themselves to get in the playoffs.
The one person I've heard linked so far for them, and not at all a goal scorer, is Ben Pearson from Preston, because I believe he's out of contract at the end of the season. So I don't know if Wilder's eyeing him up to put a bit of grit in midfield or something. I don't know, but they have a number of strikers there. Obviously, they've got Brewster, they've got Mousse, they've got McBurney there. Burke has been, McGoldrick. They've been playing Burke as a secondary striker as well.
Still got Billy Sharp as well.
Yeah, and you can have every conversation you like about Sheffield United. The players still know the system fairly well, and while they're missing a couple of key players, they're fairly organised. But for love nor money, they cannot score a goal.
No.
And at this rate, if nothing else, if you're not going to they are not good enough to draw every game, as is clearly evident at this point.
Yeah, have a team ever missed a centre back as much as they missed Jack O'Connell? Like, I know Liverpool really miss Van Dijk, but they have still got other good defenders, and they're still
top of the joint top, aren't they?
Joint.
Losing Jack O'Connell has made them worse defensively and way worse in attack. Like, I know they've got others missing, but his overlaps down the left have it's just completely. I must admit, as much as this is a horrendous season, I still think that they'll beat Derby. Because they're not as bad as Derby were, even nearly. So when you're watching them play, they are a better side. So I think that they will get a few wins. But like, if I was them, I'm hoping for their sake that it doesn't go as badly as it possibly can in the finish on. Because if it goes as badly as it possibly can, either they're going to have to sack Wilder or he's going to quit. And I think that they've got so much better chance of coming back up if they keep him.
I mean, they're only 12 points off safety.
I can't see him catching up and staying up, but I do think that they will pick up some wins. Like, as much as McBurney isn't finishing well, if he play, he will get some goals.
Oh, solid four.
Are you sure maybe 4, but one of them might win him a game. They'll get something.
Are you sure about this? Because McBurney hasn't scored a Premier League goal since he played for West Brom back before they got relegated.
Ollie McBurney, I am relatively sure, mate, has never played for West Brom.
Okay, so
are you thinking of Oliver Burke?
Burke, that's it, not McBurney.
I just think McBurney was one of their joint top goal scorers last season, which would have been an issue.
Yeah, I would think of the guy who went to Leipzig and then came back.
Yeah, Ollie Burke. He looked amazing when he came through at Forest. But and he's still a good player, but no better than that. He's
Moving on.
a bit of a headless chicken at times.
Yeah. Moving on. Brighton 3, Wolves 3. I thought Wolves had this in the bag.
They should have.
I mean, this is the Dan Burn show, really.
Yeah.
Like, it took him long enough. Like, that man just... I don't know, part of it's unlucky with the own goal, but it was not Dan Burn's day, was it?
No, because
No.
he gave away the pen as well with a... I mean, it was a ridiculous tackle, wasn't it?
Why? Man's on the byline. Why are you sliding in?
I know I said Alioski's was a poor tackle from the wrong side, but Dan Burn's tackle... I mean, he was like a couple of seconds late.
Yeah. I thought Roman Saiz' header as well was incredibly well placed for a guy who's like a centre back who's like 5'8".
Yeah, well, I mean, he isn't really a centre back. He's become
playing.
one. No, and he's playing well there. I've no problem with him playing there, but he has really changed his game, and I didn't see it coming.
I think in this game it's the quickest I've ever seen a penalty given, because it's 11 seconds after the restart.
God, is that how quick it was?
Yeah.
I didn't
It
realise
was
that.
literally kick-off, down pitch, Mopai beats 2, and it was just a daft challenge. I can't remember who. I think it was João Moutinho, yeah. Who stuck out a leg, and with how things are at the moment, no one needs much of an excuse to leave their leg there, and was brought down.
Yeah, there was a lot of mistakes in this game. Like the first goal, the Connolly one, cross comes in and Patricio comes out and gets nowhere near it.
Yeah,
it's just there was a lot of poor defending. Like the equaliser late on for Dunk. I mean, how do you leave him that unmarked at a corner? I know how you be Leeds United, but this wasn't.
You asked Leeds about marking and see where that gets.
But this wasn't Leeds United, so I don't know how it happened.
We'll move on from two teams playing poorly to Arsenal deciding to roll back the years. Now, is this because it's West Brom?
It's a good job they sacked Bilic, isn't it? They were really in trouble. You need to get Big Sam in, make you solid at the back.
I mean, Arsenal football recently has been prime Arsenal finishing fourth under Wenger every year. Arsenal they would play really nice football, just lose when it mattered. But against the smaller teams, the passing.
They do seem to have got that back. That second goal. I mean, Tierney's goal was brilliant individually, but the passing on that second goal was beautiful.
Is that when Smith Rowe squares it as well?
And Saka just tapped it in.
I genuinely think he's been one of the players that they've missed playing is Smith Rowe. They sent him on loan to Leipzig and he was all right over there, but he seems to just be a different player in an Arsenal shirt.
His loan spell at the end of last season is one of the greatest loan spells anyone's ever had, because Emile Smith Rowe scored the goal that guaranteed Leeds United's promotion.
What a man.
Legend Emile Smith Rowe. He was never played for us.
Yeah, I mean, Smith Rowe, I thought, because he was brought back in for the Chelsea game when Arsenal had a few players, most of their Brazilian contingency, missing from that one. And I thought he had a fantastic game there, and it was the best Arsenal had looked in a while, and they've taken a lot of confidence from that win. And it was the perfect time for them to be playing someone like West Brom,
who are awful.
Yeah, they are terrible. But I mean, I'm looking at Arsenal's bench, and there's a few players that I'm thinking, why are they not like Mohamed El Neni when he played against us? Kind of ran the midfield, and he's back on the bench. That Martinelli that they've got, that Brazilian left mid, I thought was going to end up being a starting player for them. No, he's just a bit part substitute.
He has started a couple of games recently, and Martinelli's only just back from being out injured for like 6 months.
I mean, Martinelli was
he was brilliant in the Chelsea game.
Yeah, I thought he looked fantastic there, and I thought he was when they got knocked out of the League Cup, I think Martinelli was the only real redeeming quality about Arsenal that day as well.
Yeah, I really like Martinelli. I think he's not 100% fit yet, but I think once he is, he'll get back in. Especially now Arteta's getting some results by playing the young players rather than... And it's not throwing the kids in. It's not like they're picking all the... It's not like they've suddenly gone, right, sod it. As much as he's highly rated, we're dropping Aubameyang and we're playing Balogun up front with Nketiah. You know, they are picking players who have some experience and have gone through a couple of Europa League campaigns and stuff like that. But they just look better than playing Willian and people like that and Nicola Pepe. If you're gonna not get anything out of these players on big money, then yeah, stick them in because they do seem to be. They're definitely not worse.
I think the daft thing is as well, you look at that squad and those core of younger players have been in and around the team for 2-3 years now.
Yeah.
Without any of them really, I think, being given the chance to make much of an impact on the first team. There's, for a few of them, and there's been a lot of stop-start. But, like you say, I wouldn't be just diving on saying, start Nketiah, get Eddie Gray in as the manager and put the kids in, as the Leeds fans would say. But they are, it's not. Yes, there's the young, but most of those players are either 19, 20, 21. They are old enough to be playing these games, and they're not going to get any better with just these 20-minute appearances. I like Joe Willock. I like Emile Smith-Rowe. Reece Nelson's probably one of the ones who's featured more. You look how much Bukayo Saka's come on in the last couple of years.
He's a really good player.
He is the absolute bright, he's the best thing about that Arsenal team at the moment is Bukayo Saka. He's so entertaining to watch. I think his use of the ball is fantastic. He plays without any fear, causes defenders problems. I think he's been the absolute highlight of that team for the last, pretty much this season.
Yeah. Moving on, Sunday, today's games. Burnley versus Fulham was postponed due to COVID-19. I think this is the second Fulham game now that's been postponed.
Yeah, they were meant to play Spurs. They were meant to play Spurs before Spurs played us. And I am now just going to say that's why Spurs won, because they had a rest. It wasn't because they were better than us or anything.
Can we just agree that it was a 0-0 draw, give them both a point, and not have to watch that game at a later date?
I'm good with that.
Yeah.
I'd be fine with
that. Did you see Gary Lineker said that? He said, surely we can just call that 0-0. And James Tarkowski quote tweeted it saying, happy with the clean sheet.
I think both of them would take that.
I was going to say, Fulham are 4 straight draws now, aren't they? And I think at least a couple of them were 0-0s.
Yeah, one of them was Liverpool.
You know what? In fairness to Fulham, as much as I thought that they were going to be dead and buried, they're only 3 points off Brighton, who are 17th, and they've got 2 games in hand. Now, I know that you can't expect them. It's not like a team at the top where you see 2 games in hand and assume 6 points. But, if they pick up 1 or 2, all of a sudden, it's really close. I still don't think that they're going to stay up, but they're closer to staying up than I thought they were going to be.
Yeah. But on to the 2 games that actually did take place. Leicester 2, Newcastle 1. James Maddison and Tielemans with the 2 goals for Leicester. But the main one to focus on.
Both really good goals, by the way. Really good goals.
Main one to focus on. His first goal for Newcastle in 10 years. Andy Carroll. Yeah. I mean, how long has he been back there now?
He has been back there since the beginning of last season.
No, I know the man doesn't play much, but still.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of when he actually moved to Liverpool, because I might have been in the stadium when he scored his previous Newcastle goal.
I mean, it's
because he scored twice. I think they beat Liverpool 3-1, and it was like I think it was in January before we went to Liverpool. Like, it might have been late December. I was in the press box for it.
Him and Suarez, I think, are the 2 that they brought in at the same time.
Yeah.
Or it's him and Robbie Keane. I can't remember.
No, it was him. It was him and Suarez. I'm pretty sure.
Because was it that they sold Torres and then they got Carroll?
Yeah, I think
Carroll and Suarez.
They basically got Carroll and Suarez and sold Torres, and overall it was about break even on price. So it was almost like they'd done a swap deal.
Because Andy Carroll was 35 million. Wow. That's what happens when you sell someone for big money and then just go, we need a striker now. What's available?
It's a good win for Leicester, is that? Takes them to third. I know they've played one more game than everybody around them, but it means they're only a point off top. Brendan Rodgers, he's got this Leicester team playing well away from home. They seem to struggle at home at the moment.
Yeah, I can't remember the exact stat. They did mention it on commentary that it's a weird thing where their conversion rate shooting wise at home is about 11% and away it's like 20. Like there's a huge difference in it. I'm not sure why. Maybe because they get a bit more space away from home.
It's been interesting with sort of home and away records this year. Because I know one of the things they mentioned was like Brighton have only won once at home this season. Obviously, Southampton last year had a terrible year at home, didn't they? And I think so far this season, I don't know if it includes the restart as well, that generally away teams have been faring better off than usual.
There's definitely been a difference, and I'm assuming, like, you kind of have to assume that it's due to the lack of crowd. I don't think it's as much to do with, like, having the crowd behind you probably does make a couple of % difference, but I also think that home teams aren't getting the same rubber green with decisions that they normally do because there's less pressure on referee. Because weirdly, as much as referees haven't been any better when it comes to big decisions, I think referees have been a bit better with, like just giving a foul in middle of midfield. I think they're better. I think they've been better at that with no crowd. So I wonder if that's made a slight difference. But
yeah, possibly. Moving on, final game. Chelsea 1, Man City 3.
Do you want to say it, KC, or shall I?
No, I'll let you take this. I'll let you take this one.
I'll tell you what, that Frank Lampard really should change his style when he's playing against the big clubs, shouldn't he? That was embarrassing. I'd be embarrassed to be a Chelsea fan right now.
It's just not
trying to play against Man City like that and just getting ripped to shreds. Honestly, oh God, you won't get a good British manager like Sam Allardyce doing that. I'll tell you.
I see. He slagged off 2 managers in one go there. That's seamless.
Oh.
I mean, I've seen quite a few arguments, and I'm not. I obviously trying to stay away from biased sources. But I saw one person talking about Lampard over the last few weeks because Chelsea have been poor, and someone said as if this was a defence. Yeah, but he's got a lot of players to bed in, and that takes time. Like, but he signed them. He chose to have that many new players.
Yeah, he spent 250, 300 million on them.
Like, surely, and as much as I hate to say it, like with that team, they finished 4th last season, which I think was a decent achievement. And it's not to say that money hadn't gone into that team. Yes, I know they'd had an embargo, but it was still a fairly expensively assembled team. But it was made up with some good young players. And I feel like if they'd have said, if they'd have gone, right, let's pick 3 positions we really need to strengthen, that we can really improve on, and get those guys in the team. And I think if you'd have just focused on, if you'd have just gone with Mendy, Chilwell, and Timo Werner, I think you've had a really good transfer window there, and it's a quicker bedding in process. Instead, they've bought, and you can't complain about the players they've brought in, that there is some absolute quality there. But attack-wise, it's clearly not worked for Werner, who's spent a lot of time playing further wide than he should be for someone of his talent. Because of the way they've spent and they've not sold anyone, you're still having to rotate between Werner, Giroud, Tammy Abraham. So I don't think you're getting any fluidity up there.
Yeah, like he's almost refused. I know that he has started in some games, but on current form, Giroud should be the main striker. He's been every time I've watched him play recently, he's been brilliant. But he knows he can't pick him because he's the one on his way out, and he's too proud to do it. I mean, look, fair cop for me. I have said the whole time Frank Lampard is not a particularly good manager. He took a Derby side that finished 6th, got Harry Wilson from Liverpool, Mason Mount and Fikayo Tomori, and added it to a team that finished 6th and finished 6th. Then, I mean, he got to a playoff final because we completely mentally shit the bed and fell to pieces. Off the back of that, doing an okay at best job in the Championship, he got the Chelsea job. And last season, did way better than I thought he'd do. But this season, I'm just refusing to see how anyone could say he's doing a good job. He is now, of all the managers that have been under Roman Abramovich in 2003, he has the worst points per game record of any of them. Any. And they've had like 12. He's just, I'm not saying, my God.
Twice.
Yeah. It's not, he should be sacked immediately. But the way that the amount of defence he gets, and it's simply because he is a club legend, which is fair. He was a brilliant footballer. He is not a brilliant manager. I wouldn't even say he's a good one. I'll be nice and say he's maybe an average one.
And I think the annoying thing is, I think more people are starting to see through it now. This is a poor run, and I find the way he speaks after games is to be quite interesting because
he always slags the players every time.
Well, I think, and obviously this is the one we missed out on. Having watched the Arsenal game, and again, Arsenal played very well, but Chelsea also didn't turn up. And within the space of about 30 seconds, he'd said, look, at the end of the day, I have to carry the can for results like this, which is what you do as a manager. But it was then followed up with the line, something along the lines of, but the players have let themselves down today. They've massively underperformed. And I'm just like, well, who's taking the responsibility here then? Is it you or is it the players? Like, I understand, like, as annoying as post-match press conferences can be and interviews, like, we all know the way it works now. Managers generally take the can or will say something a bit vague. And then if you want to slag off your players, you do it in private. You do it in the dressing room. That's how it works. But I found in these last few performances, he's really hung some of them out to dry.
Yeah, imagine having a club legend as your manager, and not performing very well.
I don't think Frank Lampard is any better than Solskjaer, put it that way. I can't bring myself to say Solskjaer's better because I'm not sure he is. I just think that they're
higher in the table.
It's a weird one actually. That's something I've just had that as a thought, and I'm really not sure who if I had to pick. I'm really not sure who I'd pick.
Solskjaer, Frank Lampard, Big Sam. It's a tough three to choose from.
Yeah.
Big Sam any day.
I haven't.
The Solskjaer one's weird because, again, Man United is as funny as it was when they were down to about 15th in the table this season. They've been on a very good run of form recently and are playing better. But yeah, I still find that with that group of players and again the money that's gone into them, that it's some of the worst football I've seen Man United play. Like you've got some serious attacking talent there.
And obviously, we're not saying against us where there was some really good stuff played, particularly by Scott McTominay.
A creative tour de force that he is. There's just... I don't want to get into the pragmatist versus purist argument because that will ring on all season or until Bielsa eventually decides he's had enough. But I do feel at times that there's the Man United front, players like Fernandes, players like I thought Pogba played better this week, but it does feel like they've been held back a little bit. I don't know if they are shackled by the system or Solskjaer's tactics. It does feel like they need to be let loose a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, we'll come on to that, but I'm going to quickly play a little social media advert to show you where you can find all your information for the Buzz.
Get the Lambo car, house in the hills with the stars. Told you I'd raise the bar, told you that I go far. Baby, it's crystal clear. I'm not a souvenir. I'm not an accessory. I'm a necessity. So come and check me out now. I'm a necessity. So come and check me out now.
Because I think from what we've just said before, that social media advert is quite a good transition into another topic, which is the title race, because this season has been so up and down, and the league is so weirdly formatted at the moment, with lots of teams dropping points in games that you really wouldn't expect. There isn't a clear favourite to win, but is there anyone in your mind that you think can probably push on from the new year and make that gap between them and the rest of the teams?
I'd love to see Leicester do it, but the annoying thing with Leicester is I think they've played a game extra than the teams above them now, but they never really put together a long-term run. It seems to be short spurts of wins and then a win and then a defeat that sets them back. I'd love to see Leicester mount a title challenge that goes into March.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I'd love Leicester to do it. I said the first time I came on this podcast, I stuck by it when they were about 14th in the league. So I still stick with it. I still think Man City will win the league this season, even with a load of players missing through COVID stuff. I just think that it's the best squad and that they will do it.
Yeah.
Do you think they invest in a striker in this transfer window?
I heard Negredo's on a free.
Borough legend.
It wouldn't shock me if they did, but I honestly don't think they need to, because as much as that ridiculous stat that Aguero hasn't scored a Premier League goal since January, which is just, I know that there's a lot of time that games weren't being played and stuff, but when it's not, it feels weird when he's gone longer than 4 weeks, including in the summer when they don't play for 2 months. But no, it wouldn't shock me if they went after a striker. I'm not sure who they'd get.
Yeah, I mean, I think the thing for them is this season they've kind of had to tinker around not having a regular striker. They've had to tinker around with either Sterling or as a striker or De Bruyne, who I think played a bit further up today. And
because Mahrez did it at Ellen Road, didn't he?
Yeah. So they've toyed around with it, but clearly, it could be my misreading of it. It could be that that they like to rotate their striking options at this point to kind of keep teams guessing. But to me, it just feels like they've never really settled on someone who could play, who could be their striker week in, week out.
No, I think that they expected, as much as I like Jesus, I think they thought Jesus would develop more than he has. I think that the plan was always he replaces Aguero and Aguero goes. Because there's been a few times where Aguero's been playing really well and Guardiola's dropped him anyway for Jesus. And I think it's just because he knows that long term that's what they need is a younger one. But he's just as good as Jesus is. He's just a step down from what Aguero is when he's at his best.
I mean, there's not going to be many who will compete with Sergio Aguero even at his age now.
No, he's brilliant.
Because mentally, I think he's one of the best strikers of the last 15 years. His time at Man City has been absolutely fantastic, and he is consistently been my favourite striker to watch in the Premier League.
Yeah, it was good to watch with them today as well. Foden looked brilliant today.
Yeah.
Really impressed with him. Took his goal really well. And really nice assist as well for Gundogan. Who
Yeah.
I thought Gundogan's turn, because both Foden and Gundogan both turn on the ball as the receiver. I thought Gundogan's turn to get a shot away was fantastic.
Yeah.
I've just been trying to rack my brain for any sort of striker that's either performing really well for a team that's probably lower down and not Champions League, or is playing for a team and not getting first team football, but they might sign just short term.
I know he's that good, but they're not having Bamford, all right?
I've heard Tyler Roberts is going on loan though, so that could be an option for them off the bench. But no, when you kind of think of top level strikers, unless there is a team having a particularly disastrous season somewhere, they're typically not available in January or are worth 100 million easily.
Yeah,
Well,
they'll probably leave it till the summer.
Yeah, I was going to say they will leave it to the summer, but the only one that came into my head was Paulo Dybala, who wants to leave Juve. But he's not an out-and-out striker.
He's not a number 9. Yeah. Who have you got winning league then, Alex?
I mean, I said it a few episodes ago. Southampton. And to be fair, they've got a game in hand. They win this game tomorrow night against Liverpool. They do go 6th.
Yeah, beating Liverpool is
second.
Yeah, beating Liverpool is a fairly big if there, mate.
No, as much as I want to be enthusiastic and say that we can push on and probably keep getting these wins, we aren't winning the league. We'll probably finish 3rd again like last season, and we'll actually be disappointed rather than being over the moon with finishing 3rd.
I mean, I just find it a strange tactic for you guys to get into the Champions League, and you guys treat it like the Europa League, like you don't want to be in it, get knocked out in the group stage, and like, right, we can concentrate on the league just to qualify for it again. Just
to get to the final of the Europa League.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's between Liverpool and Spurs. I do think Spurs could probably bounce back and challenge Liverpool for this title.
I wouldn't be shocked if Spurs manage it, because as much as he annoys me at times, Mourinho is very good at what he does. It normally only lasts 2 years and then it all explodes, but this is the 2nd year, so if it's going to happen, it probably would be this year.
I mean, as much stick as Mourinho has got, and to be fair, like the way they set up against Chelsea, it was diabolically poor. It was so bad to watch. And it has to be said, certainly against us, they were allowed to play more openly. And yes, they did hit us on the counter-attack as well, but they did press us a lot higher up the pitch than they have been doing with other teams.
Yeah, I just think with their front two, like, I don't even think the rest of I don't think their defense has been particularly great this season. Like, I'm not sold on Doherty playing right back for him. I still think that's an iffy position for them, and he showed he got himself sent off against you yesterday.
That was a really stupid second yellow as well. There was no need to do it.
No. Alderweireld is not going to be around at Spurs for much longer. Probably the same as Jan Vertonghen. I think he'll probably get another season or 2 out of him before he's gone. But then you look at it and you go, Davinson Sanchez has got a big error in him. I'm trying to think. Eric Dyer is not the most comfortable at centre-back.
No, but I think he'll make a better centre-back than he does centre-mid.
Well, that's where he wants to play as well, isn't it?
Yeah, I think as a centre-back, he's not going to be unbelievable, but I think he'll be fine.
Their best defensive player is Reguilon that they signed this summer, because I think he's a great left-back.
Yeah, he's good. If he can keep himself away from COVID parties.
Yeah.
That's an issue for a number of Premier League players at the moment.
Yeah, Benjamin Mendy being one as well.
Yeah, Mendy. We need a left back.
There's been some interesting stuff come out about Mendy though recently.
Yeah, well, as I say, he had a New Year's Eve dinner party, didn't he, or something, and had it. But like, he does love Bielsa, and we need a left back, and maybe Bielsa can get him back on the straight and narrow with a loan till the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, as if you were just thinking he's some sort of playboy, allegedly texting a modelling agent to say, "Can you send this many girls here, please?"
Oh, I'm guessing I've missed something.
Yeah, it's a ballsy move. Got to give him that. He never seems to be someone who is short of confidence.
Yeah, he's got to do something while he's injured.
Now, by all accounts, the text went unanswered and no girls were sent. I'll throw another allegedly in there just in case. But it was an interesting story to read. As someone who is meant to be in staying in their bubble, thinking, no, have people delivered to my house, please.
I mean, I get food delivered.
Yeah, but the takeaway guy don't come in with you.
No, but the food does.
Oh my god! Last time the takeaway guy was showing me pictures of his kids and everything. It was I've really gotten to know him over the last
It was awkward when you found out he didn't have children.
That brings us on January transfer window. Now, I'm not going to ask you for specific transfers because that's going to be fucking. We'd be here for ages trying to debate who's going to go where. But can you pick me one team you think who needs to have a decent transfer window that's not Sheffield United?
Chelsea. They need some more players.
Yeah, they need to spend some money. They need to loosen up those purse strings. They can't keep just.
Honestly, I'll probably be totally wrong at the end of the day, but I can imagine this been a fairly quiet window. I think with everything going on at the moment, clubs, for the most part, are still looking to keep hold of their best players because, yes, you can sell them, but I don't know how many players are available in January at this point. If I was to pick one team who I think really, should be looking to invest, I still stick with Man City. Probably need a striker now. Whether that striker is available, I don't know.
I'll tell you who does need a striker. Wolves need a striker. I know they spent 40 million on Silva, but he ain't ready yet, and he won't be this season. And I'm assuming Raul Jimenez, if he ever does come back, and I hope he does, I doubt it'll be this season.
Yeah, they've already been linked with two. They've been linked with Diego Carlos on the free.
Diego Costa, I'm assuming.
Diego Costa.
Carlos, because Diego Carlos is centre back.
Yeah, Diego Costa and signing Luka Jovic on loan.
Oh, Jovic on loan, that'd be interesting. And that is one thing as well. Any big moves, I think it'll be a lot of loan with option to buy or loan with mandatory buy clause. I think there'll be a lot of moves like that, which is why Leeds won't do much because we got burned on the Augustin deal.
Can I just say now, having had to deal with a summer of it, I am not dealing with a month of Rodrigo de Paul doing his little striptease for us, going, "Oh, happy New Year! Looking forward to the new challenges that come this year." Like, no, mate, you're either moving or you're not. Fuck off.
To be honest, at this rate, he'd probably go to Atalanta and he'll replace Gomez there.
Yeah. Good. I hope he does because I don't want to hear his name again. Unless he joins like tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's how annoyed I got with him.
Just sticking to strikers, they wouldn't need a new first choice one, but I think Southampton could do with a striker as well. Because their options behind Ings and Adams, they're only young lads, and I from what I've seen of them, I don't reckon loads to them.
Well, the rumour is they're sending that Obafemi out on loan to Swansea for the rest of the season. So that puts them one down already.
Yeah, Swansea will be up for a January loan from the Premier League because they took Brewster last season and it really improved them.
I bet Rhian Brewster thought could have gone back there for another season. It'd have been great.
I'm just having a glance at the table and seeing what else teams really need. Like Burnley could do with a couple. Burnley could do with a winger to play on the right if McNeil's going to play on the left. Because I just think that they could do with an improvement there.
Yeah, but the moment I see Burnley January transfer spending spree, I know we're going back to 2020 and it's all going to be a shit year again because it's just not normal.
Arsenal need to ship out 4 if they can, but I don't think they'll have takers for it.
Yeah, because no one wants Xhaka.
Yeah, no, they won't be selling Xhaka. Arteta loves Xhaka.
I know. That's why they're 11th.
I don't know if it's because of the looming January transfer window that Xhaka started to turn up the last couple of weeks. No, I mean, I was just trying to. With Arsenal, you do look and now think, putting David Luiz on another contract does seem like a very, very short-sighted decision. But
the only team that I think needs to make some signings is West Ham, because although yes they're 10th, I think they're scraping wins, and they were unhappy with their squad to start with.
They're another one who could do with an out-and-out centre forward because Haller hasn't really been doing it for him, and Antonio isn't really a striker.
Yeah.
So they could do with that. The thing is, though, that West Ham at the minute are 10th, and that's much better than I expected them to be. I thought they were going to get relegated this season. Admittedly, and they've signed Ben Rama, who I think's a great signing, and he hasn't even started that many games yet. So I think that to be fair to it, David Moyes has done quite a good job there.
I think Ben Rama's move is with a view to a permanent deal as well, isn't it?
Yeah, because it collapsed the day before the window shut, and then they redid it on deadline day, if I remember right.
Yeah, because I think it's 20 million is the proposed fee for him, but he'll be the same as what Jared Bowen was when they first signed him. He'll play every now and then until he hits a run of form, and then he'll be first name on the team sheet. And speaking of which, a front three of him, Antonio, and Bowen does sound like a really good strike force.
It's certainly a threat on the counter-attack, especially if you can get all 3 of them on the pitch together.
Yeah, but it is the most exciting time for football fans to wake up. I say it used to be one of those things where you throw Sky Sports News on and you'd sit there all day and just wait for a transfer to come through.
Yeah, not so much anymore. I mean, it's normally January's pretty dull if you're a Leeds fan. We'll sign a couple of youngsters and maybe one first-team player. Victor Orta, our director of football, doesn't like January windows, and neither does Marcelo Bielsa, so there's no real push for it. We've been linked with Michael Olise from Reading today, who is a very good young player. But even if we sign him, he'd probably get on the bench straight away, but he won't play much straight away.
I was going to say, the rumour that I'd heard was that he was going to Leicester and then going back to Reading on loan for the rest of the season.
Yeah, there's also been a thing today that he quite fancies staying down south, so Palace have come in, which it'd be weird to have them get another quite creative player in like that, bearing in mind what they've been for a couple of years. But it'd be interesting to see. I'd quite like us to get him, but I don't think it'll happen.
Well, again, one of the interesting things with Palace from listening to their game is that 1, Hodgson's contract is up at the end of this season, and 2, they have quite a few of their first team players whose contracts are up as well. And they're, at this point, an aging squad. So, it's quite, when you get players like Eze in, and it's a step in the right direction. But yeah, I think they certainly need to look at getting 3 or 4 players under 25 into their first team.
I don't know what you're on about. Christian Benteke is one for the future. Alongside that Gary Cahill, I've heard he's good.
He's back, is Benteke. He's back.
If a really good one became available, I think Spurs could do with a centre back.
Yeah.
I don't think that one that's good enough will come available in January.
Listen, they've already got it. No, they've got him already based on my Football Manager save. Joe Rodon is the future. That lad is fantastic. Cannot speak highly enough of him.
Yeah, see if you can get Tamori on loan.
I'll tell you what. There was a few stories linking us with him, which I don't think will happen. But I am amazed that Tamori is playing. He's like barely played at all.
He'll play in the FA Cup this week.
Yeah, and he's a really good player. I find he needs to go. He needs to go somewhere, regardless of where he needs to go somewhere.
Yeah.
Not Sheffield United.
No. They seem to have broke Ethan Ampadu, don't they? So.
Jesus Christ. Yeah. So quickly before we do end this, Southampton, Liverpool tomorrow. What's your predictions?
I'll let you go, Casey.
Oh, you've said Southampton to win the league, so I just assume this is a cakewalk for them. With the way Liverpool have been the last couple of weeks, I fancy them to put a few away soon. You know, the Newcastle game, they did everything but score in that. For considering it were 0-0 draw, you know, Carl Darlow came out of that one as the hero, but I don't know how Liverpool didn't score in that one, so I don't know if Southampton is the day they decide to put 4 or 5 away. But I'm going to go with Liverpool.
Yeah, I just had a glance. Alex McCarthy's out, Vestergaard's out, Nathan Redmond's out. That's not going to help, especially Vestergaard, who I've been really impressed by this season. I'd probably say I don't think they'll score a hatful, but I'll just say 2-0 Liverpool. But I think it'll be really comfortable.
I don't keep up with some of the teams in too much depth, but I assume that means Bartosz Białkowski's in goal for Southampton then.
Yeah, because Białkowski goalkeeper.
Yeah.
I think Vestergaard's going to be a huge loss, but I think Bednarak's been playing really well alongside him. So I don't know who they have as a replacement centre-back or who their third choice centre-back is. But I think Bednarak will be a decent bit of cover for them. But then they are playing Mane, Salah, Firmino, Jota. It's going to be a difficult game.
Yeah, well, I mean, it always is. I didn't actually realise until the thing where I just got that team news. I didn't realise Liverpool have only won 4 of the last 14 away in the Premier League, which is quite surprising.
And when do we play them next? Because that'll be the 5th.
Yeah, because that'll be when they do it.
I'm going to go with a draw, actually, for this. I think it'll be a 1-1. Because both teams seem to be loving draws at the moment. And it means that then we've got a chance to go top.
Yeah, are you just going to cheer on everything that's just going to predict? You do the opposite of me. You're predicting things that are good for you. I do the opposite. Last season at back end when we were going for promotion, I predicted us to lose every game.
Hey, if I were predicting things that were going to go right for me, I'd have said Southampton 6-0. But that'll do us for our first episode of Stand Your Ground for 2021. It's been emotional. It's not been emotional.
No
one's going
to get that reference, mate.
No, and even just for the 3 of us, we've spoken on a regular enough basis. It's not like we actually had any time away from each other.
No, true that. But as always, make sure you go over to Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and you follow WTB.com. That's where everything that's live on the Buzz Network goes on there, including articles that are written for our website and breaking news. We put up posts on breaking news, so if you follow them, you can keep up to date with everything that's going on in the world of entertainment and sports. You can follow Jack and KC at the Mighty Whites Pod on Twitter. They do their Leeds United podcast, which is also streaming to. So if you're from there, come follow Stand Your Ground as well. And make sure that you get your 20% off and free delivery at Manscaped using code SYG2020. And that'll do us. So we've been joined by Matty White's podcast, Jack and Casey.
In a bit.
Cheers.
And I'll see you next time.